Welcome, Knights. We are doing the Pythagorean theorem on the coordinate plane. You will need a highlighter, at least one other writing utensil, and a calculator. It does not have to be the graphing calculator, but it does need to be a calculator that you can do a square root with. Alright, so today we're going to talk about the Pythagorean theorem on the coordinate plane. The directions are: plot the points if needed, then connect the points. That's going to be our C, or the hypotenuse. Create a right triangle. Now we have the A and the B. Use Pythagorean theorem, so A squared plus B squared equals C squared, and that's going to give us our distance between the point C. And then we're going to answer any of the questions that follow. And we're going to amend this just a little bit, and we want to go out to the hundredths place. So write down hundredth so that you remember. Alright, we're going to find the distance between these 2 points, and then if possible we're going to find the slope of the hypotenuse. Alright, so we've got J through N. I'm going to draw a line, and then we're going to look at taking N down to form a leg, and then J over to meet it to make a leg. Let's highlight that hypotenuse, and that's again the J through N. And we're going to call that side C because it's the hypotenuse. Now we have the leg on the left side here. This makes a nice pretty right triangle, and it's 1, 2, 3 in length. J over to the corner is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's call our 3A and our 5B. Remember, the legs could be either A or B. Alright, so we have A equals 3, B equals 5. We don't know what C equals yet. We've got A squared, which is 3 times 3, because remember that it makes a square. So if we were to fold it out, it makes your square. So A squared is 3 times 3, which is 9. Our B squared, which is 5 times 5, is 25. Now we need to solve for our C squared. Remember, our C squared is what C is. It makes a square times C. And we can use the Pythagorean theorem to work that out. So we have A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Our A squared is 9 plus B squared 25 is equal to C squared. 9 plus 25 is 34. So 34 equals C squared. Now we want to take our calculator, remember, ladies and gentlemen, if there's stuff on your calculator, you can always do second plus 712 and enter, and it gets rid of anything that's on there. And that's for the graphing calculator. So now I've got 34C squared, and I want to take the square root of both sides. So when I take the square root of the right side, the square root of c squared is c. And the square root of 34 is 5.83095185, and that's just too long. Remember, we're going to round it to the nearest hundredth. The hundredth spot is the 3. The 0 tells the 3 to just stay the same. So our C is 5.83. So we can finish filling this in. So now I know what C is. C is 5.83. And we want to talk just a little bit more. We found our distance between our 2 points, J and N, 5.83. That was the first part of the directions. The second part is to find the hypotenuse, find the slope of the hypotenuse. Remember, slope is change in y over change in x. Our change in y, that's the up and down, is 3. Our change in x is 5. So our slope is 3/5, and our C value is 5.83. All right, let's look at the next one. All right, we've got it in between A and Z. So we're going to draw a nice line. And now we're going to make a triangle out of that. I'm going to drop that Z line down and bring that A line over. Now let's label the triangles. A to Z is the C, or the hypotenuse. Let's make sure that we are using a highlighter, so we say, hey, that's what it is. Then we have our legs, A and B. All right, let's find out how much A is. 1, 2, 3, 4. And our B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I know what A is, and I know what B is. And we want to find out what C is. So we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem again. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Since my A is 4, I have 4 squared plus B squared, which is 7. And we're finding out what our C squared is. A squared is 16 plus 7 squared, which is 49, and that equals our C squared. So remember, we take the square of B, take the square of A, add them together, and we get the square of B. So 16 plus 49 is equal to C squared. I'm going to jump down here a little bit. And 16 plus 49 is 65. So 65 is equal to C squared. Now I want to take the square root of both sides, so I'm going to take the square root of 65 and the square root of C squared. Handy dandy calculator. Second square, 65, enter, and I've got 8.062, 257748. The hundredth value is that 6 digit. The 2 tells the 6 to stay the same. So 8.06 is equal to C. Now we also want to take a look at what the slope is of the hypotenuse. Remember, the slope is the change in y over the change in x. Here's our y-axis, so our change in y is 4. And our change in x is 7. Alright, let's take a look at the last problem here on this page. Ellen leaves her house and runs 2 miles west, then 5 miles south. If she runs straight home, how long will her entire run be? So, let's say her home is at the origin 0, 0. Now remember, north is up, south is down, east is to the right, and west is to the left. So if she starts here at the origin, she wants to run 2 miles west. So 1, 2. Then she's going to run 5 miles south. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So she's run 2 miles west and 5 miles south. The question then becomes, she's running straight home. Hey look, it's a right triangle. I love when it works like that. So we want to find out what that distance is. And guess what? That distance is the hypotenuse. So I have A is equal to 2, our B is equal to 5, and we need to find out what the C is equal to. Alright, so I have A is equal to 2, B is equal to 5. We're looking for C. I know that A squared, I'm going to need that. 2 times 2 is 4. B squared, 5 times 5 is 25. I don't know what my C is or my C squared is yet, but we'll find that out very soon. In fact, right now. Alright, we're going to use Mr. Pythagoras and his theorem again. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. I know A squared is 4 plus B squared, which is 25. It's going to give me my C squared. 4 plus 25 is 29, and that equals C squared. Handy dandy calculator again. I'm going to take the square root of 29 and the square root of C squared. Once again, rounding to the nearest hundredth. That hundredth digit is the 8. That 5 tells the 8 to go up 1. So C is equal to 5.39. Our C is 5.39, and C squared is 29. We're almost done. Let's fill this one in, 5.39. So we found out how much it was if she ran straight